salutations. I'm Edward. This is Aristotle. AJ, I'm the philosopher. This is the Casso podcast. Thanks for tuning in again. How you doing today, Sonny?
Not bad. Not bad. Episode 5. We're having fun. We're back at it. I feel good. Feel good.
Episode 5 was a good episode in Star Wars. Empire Strikes Back.
You know,
And we're going to strike back today, buddy.
eventually, like the Star Wars, because last week we were talking about, I think we've done that every week, is brought up a Star Wars title.
Now, to be fair, I thought we were going to have to boycott Star Wars. I thought, I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah,
I thought I was never going to Disneyland again, but fortunately, you know, powers that be, some of the powers that be have decided that the First Amendment is a good thing. So we're back here. I guess Kimmel is going to be on, and we're shooting on a Tuesday, so we don't know tonight. Sinclair isn't going to cover him.
No, but we found out yesterday at like Monday at noonish, one-ish.
Yeah.
It was crazy. What a complete turnaround, a good turnaround. Well, and I'm sure we'll get into that today.
Yeah.
But what's been going on with you, Dad? Anything new, exciting?
It's a couple days after the fact, but I'm still pretty sad about the Broncos. And I've been this way since I was 3 years old. But honestly, dude, when they lose, especially when they lose a game like that, in the last second and for the second week in a row, it makes me sad, dude. It like literally affects me, and I don't know why. I try not to let it. I try to get into the psychology of it, and I just when the Broncos lose, I lose. I lose it.
No,
so yeah, you saw me. I mean, I was at the bar on Sunday, and I literally, everyone's like, "What's wrong, dude?" I was like, "Please don't talk to me right now."
You know what's funny? Some lady on Sunday, I learned after because Justin came up and told me. Some lady left and left a nasty review about me because I was I work at a bar. She had a Coke. She was drinking a Coke.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's right before that field goal.
Yeah.
And so I'm holding it, and I'm watching the game right on the front TV. She goes, "Hey, can you refill my Coke?" I said, "Yeah, okay. Give me a second." And I grab it, and I continue to just watch the game. And I guess I got a really nasty review about like, oh, he's watching the game and he doesn't care. Guys, it's the last play of the game. Let me just watch this one part and see how it goes.
Well, it was like in the playoff game last year against Buffalo.
Yeah, and they were all calling my name, and I'm like, guys,
it's literally third down. The Buffalo's only beaten us 10-7, and they're like, AJ. I'm like, dude, let him watch this play. Please let him watch this play.
And then it was a bad play. It's not bad. I love working Sundays, but at the same time, I obviously don't get to watch every moment of every game like I would hope to, but on the important moments, I'd like to, I have it on every screen.
Yeah, at least take a second to watch it. Yeah,
around me to watch the game, and then.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
dude.
No, but other than that, Sunday was fun. Other than losing.
Okay, it was not fun.
Yeah.
I didn't cry, but I almost cried because it was like, dude, 2 weeks in a row like that against two good teams. I mean, Indianapolis is shaping up to be a good team, but and obviously we all know that the Chargers are a good team, but 2 weeks in a row like that to lose like that is not necessarily fun. So, but I wanted to talk this week. I wanted to start our conversation about current events, and I kind of wanted to talk about what's been going on, specifically with the First Amendment. And we all know the political fallout. We all know the current events fallout over the past couple of weeks since Mr. Kirk was murdered. And it looked like Trump was really, and his FCC person, I mean, he's part of the Project 25, even in the Heritage Foundation and all that kind of stuff.
And so his mob boss response to Kimmel.
I mean, yeah, and which is fine. Honestly, you when you get into power, you put your people into power. I mean, why would he keep a lot of the people from Biden's administration and that kind of stuff? And so you put Republicans in if you're a Republican, you put Democrats in if you're a Democrat, and you go from there. But to be overtly partisan is one thing. To start circumventing or directly attacking the Constitution is another. And that's why I took offense to it. We obviously, you see me post on social media, and right away I was like, hey, wait a minute. If the FCC is getting a directive from the president and they're saying to take somebody off the air, that is literally against the Constitution. It's literally against our First Amendment right to free speech, and it's literally the most insidious thing I think I've ever even heard of. Anything worse than what Nixon did, anything way worse than what Reagan did, anything worse than what Clinton did, because we've had people that have pushed up against the law on both sides of the aisle, and this is not pushing up against the law. This is saying, hey, what that Constitution that you all think is so important doesn't matter, and we cannot have an administration or a president ever do that. And so I kind of wanted to get your take on what's been going on, and then kind of go from there.
I think that it's super weird. I necessarily I don't think that Jimmy Kimmel stepped out of line with his joke. I think that he I mean, like to make light of a bad situation is really a hard thing to do. Obviously, last week
Yeah,
we took that approach about not wanting to talk about it, so I
yeah,
get that side too. But to full out censor him the way that they did, and I know that at the end of the day, they want to pretend like it was a money thing. But what was the I
yeah,
can't even I sound like a cell phone company, the one that they're trying to make a deal,
sure,
and when the FCC gets mad, now they're like, "Oh, we'll pull Jimmy Kimmel so that our deal could go through."
yeah,
Because I think I was watching that this certain company that owns a part of Disney or something like that is in 34% of homes currently, and with this deal,
yeah.
they would be in 80% of homes.
Mm.
And I think
It's
the FCC,
always about
yeah,
money.
no, and I think the FCC only wants 46%, so it was like a shot in the dark deal, anyways. And
Mm.
now they're just trying to pander to the the office and
Yeah,
to the FCC, and I don't think that that's a good thing to do either. I mean, I know currently I mean, and this is to each their own, but
sure.
for me as a viewer myself, sometimes and I dabble on both ends as independent and see what I could take, but 9 out of 10 times, like MSNBC will make me upset, Fox News will make me upset, and it's like, but
Yeah,
at the end of the day,
they
yeah,
both
no,
do.
they'll
Me too.
they'll
Me
say
too.
something, and I'll
Yeah.
be like, that's the most ridiculous thing I've
Mhm.
heard. Hannity is ridiculous.
Tucker,
Yeah,
but actually Tucker one day is ridiculous, and the next day he's defending free speech. So it's like, okay, I can deal with him on today. Yeah, yeah,
no,
yeah.
exactly, and
No,
so it's like. But do I agree that Fox News or MSNBC needs to be taken down? No. And I think that it's super convenient for Trump. The stuff that went down with Colbert, um,
mhm.
other late night show, I think is just ridiculous. And I think it's silencing. And then they want to, then they put, I mean, I'm sure everybody's seen all the interviews with Trump this week about saying that it was his ratings and saying it was this. No, he was just upset over the fact, over the jokes. And then he doubled down on it. I don't know if you saw this,
Yeah.
and he was saying that all these late night shows do is bash me, and I like take them. I don't want to see that. Like obviously, like if you do something that's worth criticism, or even if you don't, even if they just don't like you and they're making
Mhm.
jokes about you, then I obviously get offended to a certain extent. But to
Sure.
take them off network is ridiculous.
Well, that's a good lucid take on the again, if the broadcasting companies, including ABC and Disney, decided that Kimmel wasn't good on air or he was not making money for whatever the case may be, that's all fine and well. They have every right to fire him.
But even on top of that, I remember when Fallon would go on the Tonight Show and make fun of Biden. So it was never.
Well, I'll be real honest. To me, it doesn't even matter the content either way.
Mhm.
If he had
No,
said something
exactly.
even way more inflammatory or way less inflammatory about Charlie Kirk,
Well, I don't see. I don't know about inflammatory.
no,
You
no,
know what I
no.
mean?
The
Because
point being is that the administration, any administration, cannot go and try to take him off the air. That's the real point of it. And that's what, unfortunately, we get stuck in the weeds talking about. Oh, well, this side thinks that it's because of that. This side, what about all of us saying, hey, wait a minute? And that's why I like what Tucker Carlson said. Hey, wait a minute. This really doesn't have anything to do with regulation. This doesn't have anything to do with if Kimmel's good or not, if you agree with him or not. This has to do with our First Amendment right to free speech. And until we come together as a country and start talking like that, I think that's the value in podcasts like ours is that we're going to do that. We're not going to take a side. We're not going to say, honestly, whatever Mr. Kirk said, I don't think should have got him killed.
no, not at
And
all.
definitely
And
silenced because his First Amendment rights
obviously,
was
like
silent too,
that's
silenced too.
we wanted that break of um not talking about it, but obviously, with everything else that's been going on, I have in my day to day, like yeah, I don't necessarily agreed with everything that he said. Some things I'd be like, hey, that's a really good point. That's an idea. But everybody that I've talked to, it at least started a conversation. You know what I mean? It at least started a conversation that I don't think everything that's been going down, I think is wrong. I don't think it's right. Censorship of any way is not. is not good. Yeah, no, I just watching all that go down these past 2 weeks.
Well, I'm going to be real consistent on my point. I don't care what Jimmy Kimmel said to get him taken off the
But
air
but
by
at
the
the same
FCC,
time,
and I don't care what Mr. Kirk said. I really don't care either way.
yeah,
I
but
don't
at the
I
same
don't agree
time,
with one thing that he said,
at the
but
same
that
time,
doesn't
if
mean that
Kimmel was saying something real outrageous. I'm not talking, and I'm not saying that what he said was even remotely close to outrageous, but I'm saying real outrageous. At the end of the day, too, the First Amendment, yes, it's freedom of speech, but at the same time, I've been seeing it's not freedom of consequence.
no, but that is not up to Trump to decide.
Exactly.
So that's the
But
whole point of it. I mean, honestly, we can talk it to death, right and wrong, this and that.
mhm,
The point being is that Mr. Trump and his administration, as the president of the United States, the country I lived in, and has been a country for 249 years, has no right, no
mhm.
right, and that's all that matters. I don't care about any points on any side. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what Mr. Kimmel said. It doesn't matter what Mr. Kirk said. Either way, they both got silenced, and that's wrong. But let's actually get into that because I wanted to talk a little bit today about what happened to Mr. Kirk. Right away, this country's so divided, and Mr. Divider in Chief. And I hear people say Obama did it too, and this and that. Okay, that's all fine and well. It doesn't really matter who's to blame. When the United States president is doing it, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And so, what I wanted to talk about is nobody, and I'm serious, I filter through social media back and forth, this and that, all around. Nobody is talking about the failures of Mr. Kirk's security detail. Now, I come from a perspective where I was like, I cannot believe in 1963 that the President of the United States, John Kennedy, was riding around in a southern town in Dallas with the civil rights legislation pending. We can talk about that too, because Mr. Kirk did touch on that too. Civil rights legislation pending, and he's driving around in an open top in the South. That makes no sense to me. We're supposed to be protecting our public figures. We're supposed to be protecting our kids too, and that's a different issue, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure, if not in this show, in the next show too. But what happened? I can honestly, let's go back even 100 years before that. I cannot believe in the middle of a civil war, or right towards the closing of it, that Mr. Lincoln was allowed to be approached. There should have been a battalion protecting the president from anything like that happening. And so when we start to look in 2025, you can put plexiglass up that will stop a bullet. You can actually protect people. You can make sure. I mean, honestly, when we used to speak on the west steps of the Capitol, the state patrol would make sure that we weren't in a line of sight. I mean, the
Mhm.
city and county building was across the way, and there was a lot of hotels and stuff there by the Capitol. And so they always made sure that we weren't in a line of sight in case anybody tried to do stuff like that. And so I can't believe that, especially I'm sure Mr. Kirk, and I don't know the numbers, I'll be honest, but I'm sure Mr. Kirk paid a pretty penny, to have security detail. And where were they?
I
Instead,
think no.
instead what has happened is, again, it's become a politicized issue, and it's not a political issue. The reason Mr. Kirk died, it doesn't matter who the shooter was, because the shooter honestly probably is not sane. I mean,
No,
to say the
he's
least.
just some loser.
Yeah, but the point being is, how did they not protect him?
So to that, I think it's the most unfortunate case of you didn't do enough, and
Mm.
that's really a hard thing that I'm sure that they're feeling every day that his security team wakes up. I'm sure that they're feeling that. It is super unfortunate uh, that they didn't do enough, and it's super unfortunate that like obviously I shouldn't I shouldn't go outside right now in fear that something's gonna
Mm.
happen to me. And I'm sure he felt the same way. Unfortunately, there's lunatics and losers,
Mm.
and so I
Well,
don't.
he said he didn't want to be wearing a heavy, you know,
Mhm.
military style vest and that, bulletproof vest and that kind of stuff. He said he didn't want the plexiglass up around surrounding him too. So he did believe in what he said too, and he did
Yeah,
not want to feel like he was speaking in a fish tank himself. Yeah,
and it's just super unfortunate, But and it's honestly like I I hope and pray that he didn't wake up that day knowing that that was gonna happen
yeah,
to him. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that's an awful thing to think, and that's an awful thing to say. Um, But nobody, I think, should have expected something like that to happen.
yeah,
But that's a bigger problem other than, you know what I mean? Obviously, security should have done better because the outcome of them doing better is he probably, you know, from the building or whatever report they're running off of now is
yeah,
they should have investigated all buildings like he was. I mean, he was a political figure. He was a public political figure.
yeah,
There's going to be weight to that, especially with how much on both sides again that everything is so divided. They should have uh, taken those steps a little bit more serious. They
Hmm.
didn't, and unfortunately, that's the ultimate cost of it.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is I don't I shouldn't fear walking out of this house. I shouldn't fear walking downtown. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, there are lunatics and losers that make this world not safe.
And I'll be honest, I don't even know. I used to think I knew where we go on the Second Amendment. I used to think, hey, you try to put as minimal restrictions on it as possible.
Hmm.
You can have this and that, but honestly, there's more guns than people in the United States now. You can't take away people's guns unless the president is going to say, if you're a registered Democrat, I'm going to take your gun. I mean, that's the only way he could try to disarm half the population is by saying, oh, if you're registered this or that, we're going to take your gun, or if you said this or that online, we're going to take your gun. So I don't know how we put put that horse back in the
See,
stable.
see,
And
I
on
was
top of no,
watching.
actually, let me make this point because it's really really cognizant. Not only is that the case, but tomorrow morning, anyone with a 3D printer can print a gun, a working gun. And so we could, right now, we have 400 million guns in this country. We could have 800 million guns in this country. And I don't know how you fix it. We don't abrogate the Second Amendment and take it out of place because obviously we believe, especially when your government is overreaching, that we need to have guns. And that includes Democrats and independents. And so I don't know what this president is trying to do by inflaming that because unless he makes a decree or an executive order, which isn't law, and says that we can't have guns if you're a registered Democrat, I don't know where we go from here. What do you think?
Speaking of uh Charlie Kirk and
Yeah.
whatnot, obviously, uh, a lot of his videos were, I see him a lot, but a
Hmm.
lot, especially since his passing,
Yeah.
they've been popping up a lot more lately.
Sure.
And something he was debating this one guy, and this guy brought up a good point. Uh, what about a gun registry? Register your guns, and if not,
Yeah.
sorry, you know what I mean? Because I mean that's the only way to know where everything's at.
Yeah.
Because if we don't know, and if we don't, if I think that it shouldn't be so easy to get one. You know what I mean? And that's not saying when I say that it shouldn't be so easy, I really hope that like most conservatives agree with me that if you're sane and all right and the background checks and you're not, super on the spectrum, then I don't think that uh I think that you're absolutely allowed to have a gun, you know? But then, like,
Yeah.
I have a hard time saying that. I really do. Because at the same
Yeah.
time, like, if I say, oh, yeah, you could have a gun, you can't have a gun, then do I actually believe what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's really,
Well, it gets to that point with in the world we live in too, son. It's I actually see both sides. I see not having a registry because that is your right to not
hmm
be identified as somebody. Nobody will ever go for it, especially with because again the horse is out of the stable already. There's too many guns out there. Nobody's going to be like, okay, I'm going to volunteer to take a gun safety class now in order to do this, and
yeah,
nobody's going to do that. It's too late. We had a chance to do it decades ago. It's just not going to happen. What about the person that is deranged and wants to 3D print a gun? Nobody can stop that. There's no registry that can stop that. There's no anything that can stop it. I just think that we probably need to start looking at security. And again, we go back to the big, beautiful bill. We could have spent all that money on securing places like schools. We could spend that money on securing public places like where Mr. Kirk was at a university. And we could do a lot more with money. And I think that's the fundamental understanding. We can keep talking about rights. And again, the Second Amendment is just as much a right as the First Amendment, like we were talking about a
exactly.
few minutes ago. And so we can talk around in circles and circles about it, but what about the solution to it? Well, I don't. This is one where I don't know a solution to it, but it takes us back to an even bigger point that I kind of wanted to float through all of our discussion today, and it's the Trump administration. It's like we can blame the shooter for this and that. He was this, he was that, and both sides are doing it. But what is really really disconcerting is they did have the memorial a few days ago, and the president of the United States said he hates his enemies. Said that he's not like Mr. Kirk. He can't turn the other cheek. And so, are we getting to really a point in this country where he's going to say if you're a Democrat you can't own a gun and that kind of stuff? That's what worries me, and I don't think that it's far beyond his reach to say something or do something like that. And so that's what I want people to be vigilant about, not whether or not the First Amendment or the Second Amendment applies to them, because it applies to everybody at every time. Mr. Kirk had every right to say what he wanted to say. Mr. Kimmel has every right to say what he wants to say. You have every right to say what you want to say.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I think with so much divide lately on both sides, I think that everybody is unfortunately forgetting that at the end of the day, we're still all Americans. We still all have the same
Mhm.
values. We just approach everything
Well, most of
differently.
us do. When the president says we're going to go after the most we're going after Antifa, which isn't even a real organization, but he wants to go after the hardest Democrats out there. Well, guess what? You want to know who the hardest, most inline Democrat there is? Your grandmother. Your grandmother has been voting for Democrats for 56 years. She voted for McGovern in 1972. She has canceled out a far right vote for the last 56 years. She votes straight Democrat down the ticket. She votes president all the way down to dog catcher. Democrat, 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 Democrat. So what is he saying? That my mom is a problem? I asked her when Mr. Kirk died, I said, Mom, did you know that Charlie Kirk died? She's like, who is that? But then the president turns around and says it's those type of people that are to blame for Mr. Kirk's death. That's not true.
Yeah, no, I
And
did not agree with his address to the nation.
yeah,
It was, in my opinion, really hard to watch. How are you going to say they didn't even know who the guy was
yeah,
at this
at the
point,
time, yeah,
and they wanted to abuse and say, "Oh, well, the radical left," and how you don't know that,
and it
and
goes
to
and
put a bunch of people, a bunch of liberals into one vote is ridiculous. It's the same way that people that believe in Trump and voted for Trump or support Trump at the end of the day, you can't the crazies and the super left liberals and the super right conservatives, uh, they don't speak for all of it, all of everybody, and
well,
then they
let's not
can't.
get it twisted either. Jimmy Kimmel was wrong in saying that he was a MAGA person because he wasn't.
Exactly,
And so
exactly.
it comes from both sides. But the whole point being is that everybody, including us on our podcast, we have a perspective, but it's never the perspective of what's right. It's what the perspective of what my take is. My take is right. Your take is wrong. Their take is right. Their take is wrong. And that's all fine and well. This country was founded on disagreement. This country needs disagreement in order
Hmm.
to move forward. But it shouldn't come from a democratically elected president. And that's what I really wanted to make the point about. Even on this, the guy can't do it right. And again, I'm not speaking about conservatives or Republicans because honestly, most real conservatives and Republicans I know do not support Donald Trump or his presidency or anything that he's done, including violating all the amendments that we have. I mean, let's kind of move on to another point I wanted to kind of touch, and it's been affecting, honestly, with the ICE raids. I mean, he has deported over 2 million people in 9 months. They were in the country and they weren't documented. It is what it is. Again, we can have the debate on that too and everything like that. But the point being is that he is deporting people without due process. And I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how they try to justify it. I don't care. You can talk alligator Alcatraz. You can talk El Salvador. It doesn't matter. The Constitution is very clear on the definition of what a person is and what a citizen is. And persons have a right to due process in the country under the Fourth and 14th Amendment. And here's just another way. I've never seen an administration even walk the line. Now we're talking statutes. I made statutes when I was a lawmaker. So those are laws that are made to be changed. Sometimes we get new data. Sometimes we have extenuating circumstances where laws need to be changed from one point of view to another, and that's all fine and well. The Constitution is unchangeable unless you change it. If they want to do all this kind of noise and stuff, why don't they put that in Congress and actually run amendments to take away rights from Democrats, to take away rights from people that are in this country undocumented? Why don't they do that instead of all this nonsense of executive orders and then having the Supreme Court back you just because they're the same party? What do you think about that?
About this him
Just,
executive
just,
orders.
just, well, just him hitting the Constitution, like literally using the Constitution as a punching bag for your own personal vendettas. What do you think
I
about
don't
that?
agree with it. You know that.
Yeah,
I don't because it's the same thing. Personal vendetta against however many Americans,
yeah,
is ridiculous.
yeah, yeah,
We
yeah,
all live uh, in America, and
yeah. Still,
yeah,
this morning we do. Yeah.
and to as a politician, you gotta take in consideration everybody,
Hmm.
and he hasn't, in
Yeah,
my opinion, and it's really frustrating to watch.
yeah.
Um,
It doesn't make sense to me. I've never seen, and I've lived through pretty conservative presidencies. I lived through the Reagan presidency. I lived through the George W. Bush presidency. They're pretty conservative presidencies, and I disagreed with a lot of what they said. But I never, I mean, after 9/11, we all rallied behind George W. Bush.
mhm.
When Reagan and was doing all the stuff that he did. When the Berlin Wall came down, we were all behind. We were all Americans at that point. And it seems like he really goes out of his way to make sure that we're not, and
Yeah,
that's
no,
very, very frustrating.
I've never felt so much, and maybe, and I don't think it's just because I'm older, but I've never felt so much of a divide in our country. I always show you that video of, and I think I brought it up on an episode before, but I always show you that video of it was Mitt Romney
Yeah.
and Obama. They're one of their debates,
Yeah.
and they had the utmost respect for each other, as they should. You know what I mean? It's exactly what we're talking about. They're exchanging ideas. They might not agree on those ideas,
Mhm.
however, they're exchanging them. And then you look at Trump's all of Trump's debates. It's not even just the ones with Biden. Him and Hillary when they were going at
Mhm.
it. Um, yeah, just him with Biden. It was just personal and senseless attacks, I think, and I don't really agree with that. Don't get me wrong, some of the times they're funny, but looking back on it now, it's like you're one of you were going to be the president, what on either side,
Yeah.
and the fact that we're letting that amount of hate and that amount of just mean and ugly things that were said,
Yeah.
it doesn't make it right. And then I mean, he won off of that. You know what I mean? Regardless, he won
Yeah.
off of being that way because people, and I'm not saying me, but
Yeah.
people that voted based off of those debates, he won off of that. So now all of a sudden, on either side, I don't understand why they're like, oh wow, why is he saying that? Why is he not saying this? Why are they disagreeing on this? Why is there so much a divide? This is why, because there's no amount of love left for fellow Americans, and that's ridiculous.
I, I, that's 100% right. I have a different take, and I don't know if it's right or wrong. But people have always been like, "What the hell are you talking about?" But I always have had a different take in that I actually believe the exchange of ideas and partisanship is actually a good thing for this country
No,
because it,
absolutely.
it keeps the debate going, and you win some and you lose some. And then if you lose and the idea was good, good. You should want to lose for your country. And if you win and your idea is good, good. You made the country better. That's how this country was for up until probably when I was born. Then it really started getting divided along party lines and that kind of stuff.
No,
Well,
but and that's not the problem. Party lines isn't the problem. It shouldn't be. But if my party or if any party,
I don't have a party.
yeah,
I'm
same. I was
independent.
like my party. If
No,
any party was genuinely hurting Americans, then that's when
no,
we should be like then and people that would rather, stick gun ho for their party, I
no.
think that is the corniest thing to do as an American.
Well, no. Again, it's okay. Actually,
No, 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 no. Genuinely, it's corny. Because how are
yeah.
you going to say that
No.
what they're doing to Americans is right and fair and just? At the end of the day, if you can't remove yourself from your party, then do you really? You know what I mean?
Well, there's a big
Then you
difference.
care. You
Yeah.
care for just the one thing.
Yeah. But honestly, again, let's go back to rights. You have a right to do that too. But the point being is that we should be able to have an exchange of ideas and let the public decide. I mean, it's not 1876 where you're running to Congress in a horse-drawn carriage and stuff like that. Where you can actually communicate with your constituents
But here's the thing too.
almost in real time
Here's the thing too. It's
from the
real.
floor of the House
It's been really,
or
really,
Senate.
really bad to not hear the full story on either side. There's people in my life that I know that I talk to almost every day, and I'll say, "Hey, what
No,
do you think about this? What do you think about what he said with this?" And most of the time it'd be like Trump, if I'm just being honest. And
no,
I'd say, "Well, what do you think about when Trump said this?"
no.
"Oh, well, he said this, and he did it the right way, and blah blah
Hmm.
blah." And I said, "Well, did you see the other side?
No,
Did you think about this?"
no,
"Ah, dude, I don't really believe in all that."
no,
Okay, so then
no.
it's
You're right.
cowardice.
No.
You know what I mean? It's cowardice, and you're at the end of the day, and this might be my hot take of the week. At the end of the day, people are more for personality than they are for policy.
Yeah, no, that's a good, actually a really good take. But yeah, nobody wants to hear the other side. But honestly, we don't have leaders, and that includes
Exactly.
the Democratic Party
Hmm.
that don't allow the people that they represent to hear the other side because all they want to hear is their side. Honestly, everything that's been politicized in the last couple of weeks, including Mr. Kirk and including Mr. Kimmel, is based on party lines too. And you and I and others like us need to try to find a way to get past that. And again, that easier said than done. I mean, obviously, if we had the solution, I would be running for president right now. And so, it's an easier said than done conversation, but it's a conversation that we need to have. And again, unfortunately, the president, like you said, who I don't want to keep talking about Trump. I don't want this to be an anti-Trump
Yeah,
podcast. I don't want to.
because it yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about him all the time because honestly, he's going to be gone a lot sooner than later. I mean, in one way or another, he's going to be out of office in 2.5 years. At the latest, and he's an old man. He's a frail old man. He could pass away in office. I mean, unfortunately,
Hmm.
that could happen too. And so, his bearing on this society has open the divides that are there. But honestly, even 10, 20 years ago, we would see those divides, and that's okay. If you're a conservative and you believe that, cool. If you're a liberal and you believe that, cool. If you don't want to if you want to disengage from the other side or don't want to engage with the other side, that's your right too. The point being is that we're trying to get us back engaged, and I think that all the points that you made about that, son, those are really good, and I want to hear those points because that's how your generation. And again, you can't
To
purport
a
to
certain extent, yeah.
speak for your generation any more than I can, but it's a different perspective, and it's a different perspective even on the Constitution, and it's a different perspective on politics itself. So I think that we need to keep forcing. We need to keep forcing that. We need to keep forcing us to talk about how it's not how do we get past it, because you're always going to have people that are against each other politically, and that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing.
See,
How do
and
we get past it where we can actually make America better? And they talk about making America great again. Well, let's do it.
yeah, no, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
I think being a slave for your political party is the corniest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Um,
You and I both know that personally. I mean, there's a reason why I'm not running for Congress this year as a Democrat in the eighth
yeah,
congressional district. I can't. I don't fit in the party anymore,
no,
and the
yeah,
party doesn't fit
but
inside of me.
that's
Yeah.
exactly what it should be. That's what it
No.
should be.
No.
You know, like, do I agree with everything that conservatives believe, or even just Republicans? You know, I keep using conservatives, but some are just still Republicans.
Hmm.
No, do I believe everything that the Democrats believe? No,
No.
no. God, that is to say that one side makes more sense is ridiculous to me. Because I could, and somebody once told me that I take the easy way in politics, but
No. That's
it's
a
not
hard.
easy.
That's a
It
hard
is
way
hard.
actually
It is hard to say,
to try to
hey,
see both sides. Yeah.
hey, wait a minute, these guys are doing crazy stuff, but remember when they said something good for us? Remember when they
Yeah.
cared for, Americans?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing crazy stuff right now, but they at the core of on any side, the core of any of their ideals are uh fundamentally and morally objectively right.
Yeah.
So I
It's great. It is crazy.
don't even get
But
me
I mean,
started.
that's the bane of our existence, hopefully, because we're putting this pressure on ourselves to kind of give a middle of the road podcast, and so
Hmm.
we'll get better at this, and we'll get more informed, and we'll get better at arguing our position. Because honestly, I know what I want to say, but it's so overwhelming and so big that I don't think I can say it in one episode. I think we're gonna have to
Hmm.
stretch it out over months and years. But the point being is that I think we're on the same side. It doesn't really matter, what party you're in. It doesn't matter this or that, because your fundamental goal should be to be an American. And your fundamental goal, I always used to tell people that when I was in office, and I'd be like, if I lose 50% of the time, that's actually good for my constituents, because 50% of my constituents aren't of the same political party as me. I said, so I feel like I represent the vast majority of them just by losing, not by winning, by losing. And so if we can get back to that, then hopefully we'll get to an episode one day. One of my favorite movies was Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and he's just this farm dude, and he just doesn't know anything, but he goes there, and he goes there with passion, and he goes there thinking about the American people, and it's just how it should be. And it used to be that way, and hopefully, I mean, again, and I hear from my Republican and conservative friends too that Obama divided this country as much as Trump. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I can start to see the point every time I was behind everything that Obama said or did too, that maybe I was wrong. And that's,
No, you're exactly
uh,
right. To to take honor in being wrong is what you should do.
yeah,
Is what you should do.
yeah.
You know, I'm wrong 85%, probably more than that.
You're not. You're,
Okay,
you're, 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 you're like most of us, and you're wrong half the time, just like your dad. I mean, we're wrong half the time, and
mhm,
but that's okay. We should want to have that embraced so the country can get 90% of everything right. You know what I mean? Yeah.
because if I'm wrong and if somebody brings up an idea that makes uh genuine more sense and it's ethically, morally, objectively right, then I have nothing but to be
Hmm.
like, hey, you know what? You're right. I'm an idiot, but let's explore this together. Let's keep moving together
Yeah.
and
I mean,
forget about the small details.
we live in the most independent district in the United States. 49% of the voters in this district are active, unaffiliated voters, and so we need to take that into account, and we need to kind of keep pushing. I think if we keep pushing towards what we're trying to do, it'll go in the right way.
I'm gonna finish on this and
Yeah.
then we'll move on to something else.
Yeah.
Something that I've been thinking about a lot lately is little tiny moments in time, right? So obviously we have the rest, I mean, 249 years. We have eternity as Americans. You know what I mean? And I know that sounds like we won't be around for any of it, but you got to think of the greater good.
Yeah,
Can is these are these little moments of on either side enough to outweigh the future of America and the future of everything else? I
yeah,
really don't think so.
yeah,
I don't think if you have compassion and passion for your country, take a step back. Think about it for a second. Should I really be mad? Should anybody
mm,
really be mad over these small moments? Or should we all move on together and take those hard steps together?
yeah,
The world is a crazy place.
yeah,
Every day it seems like something else is crazier, but everybody's so fixated on little moments in time. When in the grand scheme of everything else, none of that is going to matter.
yeah. I even like to, and like the nerd in me wants to bring up federalism and be like, hey, if you live in a state, maybe your state's rights are more important than the federal rights. And I mean, honestly, with abortion now, I mean,
Oof.
it depends. Well, we're not going to get into the
Yeah,
pros
yeah.
and cons of that, but if you support it, there are states where that, like Colorado, that where you can actually, you know, exercise that right. There are other states where you can't exercise that right, and I think you have the choice to do that. And so, not just that issue. There's a lot of issues where we can't find common ground on as a country, but we can find common ground on in states. And that's
Hmm.
not necessarily a bad thing. It doesn't mean we're better than Mississippi or vice versa or anything like that. It's just they think differently than the people here in this state, and that's okay. That's what there used to be a brilliance to the federalist system in that we had national interests and then we had state interests, and we kind of I think if we can kind of glean and kind of get back to that, that's another way we can kind of solve all of these divides is by saying, hey, like, hey, you don't like it, don't give them your money. If I didn't agree with something that Alabama was doing, I'd move out of Alabama. If I didn't like something that Colorado was doing, I'd move from there. You can talk with your money in your pocketbook and do those type of things. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, well, enough
Yeah,
politics.
oof. You got me.
Oy,
You really got me going there, dude.
that was a
I try
rough one.
not to, like not keep it back, but I try to, but it's getting to a point
It's
that yeah,
yeah,
enough politics.
yeah, enough politics and enough of our president. I don't like talking about him. I don't like posting about him 55 times on social media every day either. But it's like it compels us. And honestly, let's instead of you turning it into a negative, let's use it as a positive, especially for this platform on the
Yeah,
podcast, and
no,
we'll do
absolutely.
that going forward.
I
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything you had to say, dude. I thought that about you and about but we didn't script it, and so everything that you said came off from your generation's perspective. And again, you don't speak for the whole
Yeah, no,
generation.
real quick,
Yeah,
fourth wall break. I think it's the most exciting thing. Obviously, I have a week to know about what we're going to talk about, and I should be doing my homework, but life gets in the way, and life is consistently messy, so I never really take the time to study everything I'm saying. So when he asked me the hardest questions ever, and I just have to off the top of my head stand up for what I believe in and
yeah.
whatnot. So uh, then I guess I need
They're
to do
not
more research.
they're not that hard, son. You're good.
Yeah.
Everything honestly, everything you said in the podcast was good today. So now to be fair, I do send you the questions ahead of time too.
Yeah. Like I
I'm
have
just-
a whole week
yeah,
to
but okay, you want to
research
want to
it.
know the difference? Not a nerd. So
Hmm.
that's the real difference. Is I will put the nerd aspect into doing that stuff, but you'll get there. We'll get
Yeah.
there. I guarantee we'll get there because, like I said, I have every confidence in you. I mean, now that my dad is gone, who do I go to advice? I go to you for advice, and so I trust you. I love what you have to say. So don't get embarrassed and don't feel like you don't know this and that, and you didn't. You'll prepare
No,
more and
yeah,
more as we
definitely.
get
I'll,
on this.
I'll
But
ask questions if I don't know anything.
but
But
you got it going, and that's good, son. So okay, enough. We said enough politics 3 minutes ago, but let's go to our pick. I don't want to go to this, but let's go to our picks from last week. Unfortunately, AJ beat me last week in
I
NFL
told you it
picks.
was gonna happen. I told everybody it was gonna happen,
Now
and boom, it happened.
he got super lucky last night. He picked Detroit, and I picked Baltimore in Baltimore.
Dan
But
Campbell.
he did go 10-6 last week, which is where I was the first 2 weeks. So
Okay, well, that.
he's on my level. He's
Well,
on my level for a week. Let's see this week too. But
but when it comes to pick'ems, it's like I finally
that's I,
by the
dude, I think that's the first time you've ever beat me in something like that, including Madden. Remember we used to get Madden the first day it would come out, and I'd beat you 114-13. That's what it kind of. But you got me.
yeah,
I'll
I
be
finally.
I'll be the first. I'll be the first one to say I went 9-7 last week, which is 56%. You could, I mean, a blind monkey could go
Well,
56%. So
but honestly, a lot of these games were weird last week.
yeah, there's no
How
way
many blocked field goals were
dude,
there this week?
should Cleveland have beat Green Bay. Come on, man.
Shout out real quick. I was gonna say this
Oh
for
yeah,
the
go ahead.
very end. Jojo, uh, he's winning comment of the week, or comment of the week. Last week, obviously, we dog on the Browns all the time. It's the easiest thing to
It's real
do
easy.
as an NFL fan. But he was sitting at the bar and whatnot, and I had read his comment the day prior, and he was just calling us out on watch the Browns are gonna sneak up and get a win, and they beat the Packers. It was what
Yeah,
10-0
yeah,
at half, and then they came back and
yeah.
kicked that field goal. It was a super fun game. Everybody at the bar was mad except for JoJo and one of my other regulars that
Mm.
the only two Browns fans in existence.
That go to
But
the
yeah,
same bar.
yeah, no, that's super fun. So congrats, JoJo. I'll reach out to you on winning.
You got some Starbucks coming, buddy.
Yeah, keep those comments down. We read every comment.
But you guys are gonna lose next week too, just to be honest.
Yeah. Everybody else keep commenting. We'll pick one next week as well.
Yeah, we will pick a comment of the week, which is cool, and yeah, we get some free Starbucks on behalf of the Casso podcast, so that'll work.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get into our picks this week, dude, I wanted to talk about what's going on with the Broncos, dude. We're 1-2. We barely beat Tennessee. We lost to two 3-0 teams on a last-second field goal. I don't know what Bo Nix is doing. He's literally one of the bottom 6 rated quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't know what the defense is doing. They're giving up way too much. I mean, and then penalties, at the wrong time. Hufanga got a penalty at the wrong time. I don't know what Adam Troutman's even doing in there. That dude, all he's done is cost us 2 games, literally by himself. I just, man, dude, it's very frustrating to watch us because we should be,
man.
Yeah, we should be 3-0. If we had made one of those, and I'm getting this from Sports Talk Radio, if we had made one of those, we would have won.
Mm-hmm.
If we had made 2 of those, we would have beat them pretty good. If we had made 3 of those, we'd have blown them out at home. And so it's like, what are we doing? But we didn't make them, and we're sitting here 1-2 now. Thank goodness we don't get a Burrow-led Bengals team coming up here on Monday night, so we should win this one. But what do you think about our prospects going forward?
I think it's exactly what I said at the beginning of season, is that we have a lot of things to work out still.
Yeah, I didn't think we were there. I thought we were there already. Unfortunately,
honestly, our receivers, Sutton's the only one that can make a play.
No.
He's the only one that can catch because that's how it is.
This week.
But no. But he's the only one that can catch.
He didn't do anything.
He's the only one that can catch Bo Nix's crazy overthrows. You know what I mean? Of course. Mims couldn't catch it. They were going out there, and how many? And Cortland Sutton, even on that last play, we would have won the game if he caught that last ball. But when his face rode the turf for a minute because he had to jump that far to try to catch this ball.
Man.
Bo Nix, I think, needs to chill out, understand it, have faith in the running game, stop with the damn screen passes.
No,
this is Nathaniel Hackett's.
It's a lot of pressure though in his 20th game though. Honestly, Dan Marino and John Elway and Peyton Manning weren't that good by their 20th game, so we need to give them a little bit more time. And honestly, not me. I mean, I think I started off the whole podcast with I'm dreamed that Bo Nix is. I'm glad when I wake up in the morning and I dreamt that Bo Nix is my quarterback, and he is. I'm kind of.
Yeah. No. God bless Bo Nix. But we got to figure it out. So hopefully on Monday it gives us a little bit more of a confidence boost to continue moving this team forward.
Yeah, but then we go to the Super Bowl champions the week after that, so we're going to be 2-3 if we're lucky. That's no good, buddy. But then we get a nice little break with some Giants, some Cowboys, some Jets. So we'll be okay. But it's we should be 3-0, and that's really frustrating because we could have taken one from the Chargers. And now, honestly, 3 weeks into the season, the Chargers are winning the AFC West. There's no way around it.
God, they look insane.
Now
they do. I can't even get credit as credits where credit's due.
What I would like is to get them in either the wild card or divisional round. I want the Chargers.
Yeah, and watch Herbert freak out.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into picks.
Well, I like the Chargers in the playoffs, especially. Okay, if I'm being honest, let's get the Chargers in the playoffs and see what happens.
As the Chargers in the playoffs.
Yeah. How many Super Bowls?
Let's get into picks.
0.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, but the rest of the AFC West, Joe. But okay, let's get into picks. Let's see. We're on week 4, and so there's really we put our picks down, and I wrote yours down too. We only have 3 games that we actually disagree on this week, and so let's just really focus on those 3 games. But I want to talk about the big game for us too. But the 3 games that we have where we actually have different picks: Tennessee at Houston. AJ has Tennessee. I have Houston. Tell me why you have Tennessee.
I just think fundamentally they're a better team. I think
Houston's 0-3, bud.
I know, and I think CJ Stroud has really lost it. Really lost it.
At least Bo Nix isn't CJ Stroud.
Oh God.
Jeez.
I remember when we wished that for a minute.
We're like, why can't we be
They went to the playoffs
Yeah.
his freshman year, but no, I definitely think that Tennessee it's got a good thing going. They got
They
good.
play defense, man.
Yeah, exactly. So give me Tennessee all day.
Yeah, I'll take Houston just because everything that's logical about the picks in the first couple weeks has been illogical. We should take Tennessee. That's the only reason I'm not taking them is I'm trying to get up on one, and I'll take Houston this week for no other reason than let's just flip the script. But literally flip the script just to do it. I mean, I have no justification or reason to do that. So, okay, the second game that we have that's different, and again, we picked, and I'll go over all our picks afterwards for the ones that we agreed on just to highlight them. But the second one is Jacksonville at San Francisco. AJ has Jacksonville. I have San Francisco. Why do you have Jacksonville?
I just think San Francisco's running out of luck, if that makes sense. They're running out of luck.
Yeah.
I mean, their injury room is just getting.
Bosa now too. Yeah.
It's just getting bigger. So
like ACL.
Yeah, no. So they're looking into some trouble, unfortunately.
No.
So give me Jacksonville.
I don't believe in Jacksonville. I don't believe in our boy Travis Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
His biggest play so far is a 16-yard reception in 3 games, and he got picked that high.
That's us.
No
That's
picks
for us. Yeah.
No picks. No interception or anything. Got 16-yard reception, and I think he has like 6 or 7 total. But I mean that's a game too. I mean honestly, I'm not going to be like, oh, San Francisco. There's no reason to fall on that sword because they're not worth falling on. But we have a differentiation in that one, and so it is what it is. And so the third game that we have a different take on, and again, we only have 3, but it's Indianapolis at the Los Angeles Rams. Tell me why you have Indianapolis on.
Indiana Jones. That's it. He's insane.
Danny Dimes,
Indiana Jones.
Dude, he looks good, man. But I don't think, again, we want to talk about something that's not sustainable. I don't think that is. I think that
really, because that's how I feel about the Rams.
That's true.
I feel like, you know what I mean. I feel like they're such a wishy-washy team.
They were whipping up on the Super Bowl champs, but it was 26-7, and so I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then
they just fell all the way down.
Yeah.
And that's like demoralizing.
Yeah.
You know, that's going to take a couple weeks, in my opinion, to get back from all that.
Possibly. They were saying that could probably be a preview of the NFC Championship game, and I think they're right. It was a good game. Philadelphia obviously came back to win it, but the Rams, I'm going to take the Rams just because, again, on the law of averages, Indianapolis cannot keep doing what they're doing. And so now the game I want to talk about, because whoever loses this game is going to be 1-3, and that's real. I mean, it's really, really hard to make the playoffs. It doesn't matter how good a team you have if you start 1-3. Baltimore at Kansas City. We both picked Baltimore in Kansas City. I don't know if we picked that because that's what we want to happen and have Kansas City be 1-3, or if we're thinking it's going to happen. What do you think?
I want it to happen, but I also think it's going to happen. Yeah. I think it's going to be, because the thing with the Ravens is those losses. Those were hard losses. Yeah. I mean, for
good teams too,
for Buffalo to come back week 1 and do what they did, and then Detroit last night.
Those are really good teams.
That was really. I mean, it was super entertaining back and forth football. So I don't think. I think that they got that X factor. Yep. You're telling me that the Chiefs' only win this season was against Russell Wilson's Giants?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we're comparing like their wins to their wins, like. You guys barely,
you're completely right. I mean, we're talking about upper echelon teams, Detroit and Buffalo, and
yeah.
I mean, there's no shame in losing to them, even at home, either one of those teams. Mm-hmm. And normally, even last year, we would say Kansas City's in that same group. They're not, and so I think that's where we get them, and that's where that puts the Chiefs at 1-3.
I can't wait. Yeah.
Oh God, I hope we're wrong on the Chargers. I hope they lose too.
Yeah, but they just lose the rest.
Yeah. I hope the whole AFC West goes 0 whatever for the rest of the year. But it would sure be nice because, again, I thought Denver was going to dethrone Kansas City on the AFC West. It's not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. San Diego, not LA. San Diego Superchargers. They're lame. San Diego's lame. LA's lame. I'm just joking.
Yeah, no, but
No, but yeah, they're gonna. Let's see if we can get them a loss sooner than later, a couple, so we can catch up, and then let's see if, honestly, Kansas City can just go down that drain, swirling down, down, down that drain. So that's it. But I'll go just for posterity. We both have the Seahawks. We both have the Steelers. We both have the Commanders. We both have the Chargers. We both have the Eagles. We both have the Patriots. We both have the Lions. We both have the Chicago Bears in Vegas, which is cool. We both have the Ravens against Kansas City. We both have the Packers in Dallas. Um, actually, yeah, we both have Miami. We both have Denver, and we both definitely have Buffalo. I'm going to bet a little bit on that Buffalo team on the money line
mhm.
because that is a guarantee because that is literally the best team in the NFL against the worst team in the NFL against New Orleans. So that's where we're at with the pick. So
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I'm super excited. Love this time of year.
yeah. Now one thing that I hope we start introducing on this podcast is cigars. We should be smoking. Now, guess what?
We could,
No,
yeah,
well, no, we're actually gonna after this we're gonna go get one. But
yeah.
after the podcast, but during the podcast we can get one because this is my man cave and I have cigar proofed it and we're gonna smoke in here. But and of course my wife is gonna be like, "What'd you do that again?"
Yeah, why does it stink in the house?
Yeah, you know why, babe.
Yeah.
But so we're gonna we're eventually. I mean, I like when Bill Maher does that. I think it's cool
Yeah.
when he has those cigars and he even has a little bit of drinky. He even has he even smokes weed on his.
No way, you just said drinky. That's hilarious. Anyways, no, we definitely should do that. We'll talk
Yeah.
about doing an episode like that.
Well, honestly, I wouldn't mind doing every episode like that. So,
No, yeah,
but
for sure.
again, I'm out, and I thought you were bringing them. So,
Oh, that's right. See, I'm telling you, I swear he gives me a week to like get everything straight, and then day of he calls me, and I'm like,
oh, my sonny boy.
he's like, "You're on your way?" Yup. And then
I get worried that you're not gonna. I mean, and
and
again,
then like I barely bring my props. Like
dude,
I
you work a hard schedule on the weekends, and so I get it when on Monday and Tuesday you're kind of. But I called you this morning, and I was sitting there with my mom. I'm like, it's 50-50 if he answers, man. I'm like, we gotta record today, but yeah.
and he
So
was like, "Are you ready?" Yup. I definitely was still laying down.
okay,
Yeah,
that's
but
funny. That's funny. All right, dude. Okay, well, we had a good episode this week. We talked about a lot of things, and again, we're going to keep expanding on that because I think our perspective is what this country needs, and not because it's our perspective, but it's the right perspective. And I think we
no,
just got to keep
absolutely.
forcing ourselves to the middle, even though I'm a lot more biased and opinionated than I appear to be. But I also care more about my country than I care about my own personal thoughts and my ideas. If my personal thoughts and ideas are good for this country, cool. If they're not, tell me and let's get it out there.
So with that being said, I really encourage the conversation to continue going away from us too.
Mhm.
I will repeat it 1,000 times. We read every comment. We respond to every comment. Keep them coming. Keep the conversation going. I don't see that there's anything wrong with keeping that alive and keeping that present, and especially in a time like this. Again, we're not always 100% right.
Yeah,
We might agree uh, on some things, but I know
yeah,
we disagree a lot on other things.
absolutely.
Uh, so if you feel like you want to comment some and think that a conversation will come from it, absolutely, that's what we should be doing.
Yes.
These are weird times. These are hard times. I think that unity is super needed for everybody. So with that
Oh.
being said, comment, like, subscribe,
And
share. Yeah.
definitely subscribe, please. And again, it doesn't cost any money, but it gets us past that algorithm, the nasty ass algorithm, and it gets us over the hump and it gets us to more people. You can go to youtube.com/@Casso podcast and you can see us on all social media and you can stream us on all social media starting this week. We've actually had a little bit of technical difficulties as far as getting our audio streams going, but we're going to get them going this week on every platform where you subscribe to podcasts. So, that being said, for my son Aristotle and myself, Edward, thank you for watching this week, and we hope you have a good week, and we'll see you next time.
See you next week.
Okay.